What's up guys, it's Chris at FlyRyde and I'm gonna make a very long awaited video. I should have shot this years ago and I just haven't. I'm just so busy that I never take the time to do things that will save me a lot of time in the future. So this is all for you guys, not just to save me time, but so that I can better get back to you guys and have you more filled in on what it is that's required to order custom headlights. Custom taillights too, custom lights in general. I guess just all custom lights. Point is, there's a certain process that we always use, and sometimes customers apologize for not knowing what that process is. It's not your fault. This is weird stuff that only we know because we do this all day long, every day. I've been doing this since 2003. I'm just gonna dive in, I'm gonna tell you all the processes, all the different little steps that are involved here. So let's jump in. First thing that we do, we ask that you show us the lights, show us the stuff that you like. So we'll talk more about that in a second. The next thing that we do is we quote you for the lights that you showed us. The next thing is we ask you to pay your deposit, or sometimes we charge in full. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Fourth thing, we give you the scheduled date that we want to have the lights. Fifth thing, we do the work, we bang it out. You would think that that's the only thing that matters, but that's actually the fifth thing on the list. So it's important, but there's a lot of steps before and a couple after. Number 6, we test, we film, we photograph. We do everything here before we box those things up, which brings us to 7. We box up your lights and then we make sure that they're safe before we ship them off to you. And the last thing is we stand behind our work, so we warranty everything. So those are your 8 steps. I would name them all in 1 to 8, but I already forgot. Now I'm just gonna dive in and tell you all about those steps. All right, so the first step is super easy. It's just showing us what it is that you like. It's kind of weird that we have to ask for this because a lot of times people just hit us up and they say, how much for lights? What kind of car, dude? I don't know. We could start with that. What kind of car? What picture have you seen that you like? What's the thing that made you decide that you need to spend money on custom lights to hit us up in the first place? There's usually a video, there's usually a picture, something out there that you can just show us. So send us a link, send us an email, text message, whatever. All we need to do is get inside your head and see what it is that you like so that we can take you to the next step, which is gonna be quoting it out. I'm just gonna ask you very politely, please, 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 just do your best at asking specifics. Like if you want angel eyes, cool, ask for that. If you don't know what angel eyes are, that's not a problem. I'm not gonna hold that against you at all. All I ask is that if you have some idea of what it is that you're after, start with showing us the pictures and then at least give us that amount of detail by saying, like, I can see there's a little strip, I can see there's the little rings, I don't know what they're called, or maybe you know everything about what these things are called and you just want brass tacks. You just want to know what's the absolute bottom line cost that I'm in for. Just start with that. Number 3, the deposit is paid. Thank you, paying customer. You are awesome. You're the reason that we get to do this. And without you guys, we would just be some nerds that never came out of the garage and had to work a 9 to 5 doing something boring. But we don't have to. We get to do what we love every day. So thank you. The deposit, it's super simple. If we're looking at a job that's 800 bucks total, then we're gonna ask you for 400 bucks up front. We'll schedule your date and then you're good to go, you're locked in. If it is a crazy over-the-top high-end job, like a lot of times with these GTRs right here, like let's say somebody spends 7 grand, like, oh my God, 7 grand, they spent 7 grand on lights. It happens, it just does, because these guys have big tastes and their cost of parts is really expensive sometimes. So if the total job is 7 grand and the cost of parts is like 5 grand, obviously we can't take a half deposit and then do anything because we don't even have enough money to pay for the parts. So in that case, if it's a big high-end job, if it's crazy stuff, we're gonna charge you in full. We know you can do it. I don't say that lightly. I appreciate you guys, just as much as anybody, because you've allowed me to do this solo long enough that I could hire guys to help me long enough that I could get into this beautiful shop. Thank you again. Thank you. I love that side of this, that these people have supported me for so long. So the high-end guys, you guys have made this all happen. You other guys, you're basically getting hooked up because of them. If we're doing smaller jobs for you, we're able to do the half deposit up front, which I know it makes it easier to gulp it down, especially when there's a couple weeks involved from the time that you put your deposit down till the light's finished. That gives you a couple times to save up, little bit of time there, and then once we're all done, we settle up, we make sure that everything's all paid, and you're good. So that's step 3. Scheduling. That's pretty straightforward. I mean, if you've paid for your job, you need to know when it's gonna get done, and everybody wants to know that off the bat. So here's the thing. Because of the way that the pricing structure works, and because we charge based on time, that means that if it's like a crazy complicated job, we're gonna need the most amount of time, which means we need to book it further out, because we have a lot of little jobs that have been booked in between now and the point that we could spend that much time on one job. So if you want a little job, we could probably fit it in a lot sooner. So scheduling is very much dependent on how much you are asking us to do. Sometimes people are like, hey, will you hook me up because I want to get taillights and headlights, and I want to get this and that, and I want you to modify the side markers, and I want you to do all of that, and can you give me a deal because of it, and can you do it really soon? And we're like, oh man, like, no, not really. You know, that's intense. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of time investment. So we have to schedule that out. If that makes sense, I appreciate it. If it doesn't make sense, that almost makes me want to re-record this section, because I'm like, God, I'm just trying to explain all this stuff the best I can and being real. If it's little stuff, we can do it a lot sooner. And most of the jobs are little. Most of the things that people want, demonize, paint, little things like that, no worries. We'll get you in quicker. But we can't know how long it's gonna take until we know the full quote. We can't know the full quote unless we know the details, and obviously the price is attached to all of this. So step 1 through 4, they're so important. They all play into each other. So I hope that makes sense. And we're gonna move on to step 5. I am gonna go bug the guys, walk into the workshop, and tell you guys all about it there, because you should probably see where this stuff goes down at. So they're working, and Jack's trying to help me out so that I don't get flagged for copyright content. But here's the deal. So the workshop is where everything goes down. And so if you've paid for something and we've given you the scheduled date when we want your lights to show up, it's gonna end up in here, and we're gonna be working on it. Let me just show you around here, because here's the thing. We don't have that much room, which means that if we are doing a whole bunch of jobs in a short amount of time, then we're gonna have boxes everywhere. We're not gonna be able to move. We certainly won't have the bench space to do it all. So hopefully you can see that if we know your job's gonna show up on a certain date, and lo and behold, the box shows up on that date when it's supposed to, and we're ready for it, we got your parts set aside, we're expecting to start working on that date, and guess what? We're definitely gonna start working on it on that date, because hey, everything's completely lined up for it. If it takes a few weeks and there's some sort of a hiccup on your end, on our end, some warranty thing that we had to do and we had to push it back or something like that, it just kind of can throw things off. So we ask for patience for the fact that our schedule kind of lives and breathes, it moves and expands. The reality is if we stick to the schedule, things go smoother. We always want that. We want that for you guys, and we want that for ourselves. So when it comes to making sure that the lights are here on that date, pretty important. I just ask that you don't ship before the date, because then we're gonna have stuff like this, boxes, loaded up by the front door, loaded up in the workshop, and it's gonna be crazy. So try to stick to scheduling and make sure that the shipments get here when they're supposed to, so that they can leave when they're supposed to. Make sense? This next step, step number 6, is testing and photography and video. And if we're turning things on to make sure that they all work the way that they're supposed to, might as well take a picture of them. And if we've got videos like the one I'm using to film my face right now, we might as well film cooler looking things like the lights that we built. So, you know, that's just a super important step for me personally, that if we spend all this time and you've spent all this money and we're all waiting for this final project to be completed, then the least we could do is test it like crazy, make sure that it's working perfect so you're not gonna have any little issues or hiccups down the road, and that we have that nice, beautiful evidence of that. Since we happen to have a great photographer here, we always ask Anthony if he can just shoot us some pictures, and he does, and man, they're so much better than my photography and my little cell phone camera pictures. And when it comes to shooting the video of the product, a lot of times these little G7X cameras, they're perfect for it. When we're super lucky, we get these cinematic, awesome, beautiful shots from John, and of course we always like to show you guys that stuff. But in any case, we always just wanna make sure that we spend the time to do that last step before we stick these things in a box. So I will start talking about the box stuff right now. All right, I'm gonna give you guys a little demo of what to do and what not to do when it comes to step 7, which is shipping. We don't want you guys to ship us stuff and then it get here damaged. That's the worst thing that could possibly happen. It wastes your time, it wastes your money, it wastes our time. Everybody's bummed out, that sucks. So, let me show you a good example of what you should do, which is properly package a product before you send it to us. That means if you don't have an original box, like an OEM, like taillight box, if you're shipping taillights or something like that, you're probably not gonna wanna just stick it into a random box and go from there. You really wanna take your time to wrap everything, make sure that nothing's gonna come into contact with the sides of the box. The edges of these lenses, they'll snap and break so easy. So I've got a couple different little things to show you here. I got a set of GTR lights with factory boxing, and then I've got just a random box and a random Hyundai taillight. The reason is I could just drop that thing in there and show you what it is that I've seen people do. These expensive lights, they just drop in a random box, stick some tape around the outside of the edge and say like, oh yeah, I'm sure the shipping company will take great care of it. Not super smart. So let me grab this first box. Empty box, taillight. You probably would never want to just take this light, stick it inside a box, and then close the lid and call it a day. It's gonna shake. The shipping carriers, this is actually a really good sized box for this. I didn't mean to do that. Anyway, the shipping carrier is gonna toss this thing around, it's gonna hit the ground, it's gonna have all of the impact hitting straight to the side of that part. So my guess is that if somebody shipped this exact taillight in this box, this corner would show up wrecked. Dumb move, man. Why even bother? And then you want to get them customized. So like, imagine if we shipped them back like that. They're all cool and customized and they show up with the whole corner all chipped off. We take all the possible effort that we can to make sure that these things show up perfect. And even then, sometimes the carriers beat them up. So if we're taking that much effort to do it right and it still has the potential, a very small percentage actually get damaged. But man, I mean, what a terrible thing. We ship all over the world. So we really want to make sure that if these things are going to be on a plane or they're in customs or they're kicking it around somewhere in the shipment process for a week or two, that they're going to show up safe. And in most cases, especially with our high-end guys, we tell them, spend the extra couple bucks, you know, maybe 40, 50 bucks and get it shipped express. That's the fastest way. It means less time with the carriers that has the potential to have damage or anything like that. Let me show you what it looks like if something's done properly. Here, we've got a factory Nissan taillight box. It's got 2 taillights in there, not one, it's got 2. And inside of that box, got another box. And then we actually have packing material added on top of that. Take all that stuff out, you'll see we have a very specific insert made for this taillight. And the idea here is that the taillight isn't just floating around randomly inside that box. It's actually gonna have something that it sits inside of. So these 2015 GTR taillights, we don't want rattling around, so they're gonna always be shipped in GTR taillight boxes. Even though they come very safe from the factory, this box still has lots of extra packing material in there. And like I said, there's 2 different taillights in here. So this one we want to know is safe, because if we're gonna ship that set of lights really far away, like probably it's gonna be good that they show up nice, right? So that was a big long step 7, but it was super important because it's the one that people get wrong the absolute most times, is that they ship it and it just gets beat up along the way. So not good. I hope that made sense, and I can't imagine why it wouldn't. You want your stuff safe, right? I want your stuff safe, so I'm sure you do too. The last step, step number 8, is gonna be a pretty important part of the process because it's a step that has cost me tons and tons of money over the years, and that's our warranty. The reason it's cost me tons of money is because standing behind your work and having integrity is super expensive. A lot of times what you want is just to say like, oh, I did a good job on that, the part failed, it wasn't my fault, blah, 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 I shouldn't have to take care of it. I think for us, we just know better than that. We know that if somebody spends a bunch of money with our company, then who loses if we try to shortchange that person is us, because we're gonna lose respect, we're gonna lose any sort of a reputation that we've spent so long trying to build. And so we want everybody to know, custom electronics, crazy, never been done before wiring and stuff, like, we're asking for trouble, you know? I mean, we're trying to do things that's never been done. So the last thing that we're gonna do is say, 0% ever do we mess up, we're perfect. Like, clearly we're not perfect. The reason I work on GTRs is because I spent so much time and effort trying to make up for all the lost money when things went wrong, and I had to learn tough mistakes, that it'd be dumb at this point with all that investment to not continue working with those guys. So I love those cars, and they've kicked me in the nuts financially so many times I can't even count. It's because we stand behind our warranty. My best advice to anybody who is in the lighting game, who's trying to build their business, have a warranty, stand behind your work. Man, reputations just go so fast. Like, you might do a bunch of good work because you've never had any issues. And the first issue that you have, if you don't stand behind that work and you tell a customer to, you know, screw off, whatever, oh, screenshots are brutal. Just savage beatings online when it comes to people's reputation and stuff like that. Nobody wants that. So, step 8, warranty. Now, I'm gonna finish by showing you guys the big, long, extended part of step 2. So I'm gonna shut up. I think I've blabbed your ears off. If you're still listening to this and then you're gonna listen to the extended part of step 2, man, you're a patient person, and that means I wanna work with you. I really do, because anybody who wants to get that super quick and easy answer, they don't want any time wasted, and they don't know what the steps are involved with ordering with us, it's probably a good idea that they're not the best fit, because there's a lot to this. And that's why after all these years, I finally made this super long, tedious video as I paced around the shop. But when it comes to quoting, you might want to add a whole bunch of different stuff in there, or you might want to add one little part. The quote's gonna vary. There's not one size fits all quoting for this stuff. I mean, if somebody wants rings and strips and paint and demon eyes and all these other things, that's obviously gonna cost a lot more than if they just want us to open up the lights, install maybe some little angel eye rings in there, close them up, call it a day. Like, man, the pricing is all over the place. So, before I go further into step 3, the way that we're gonna try to break this down and make it easier for you guys is we're gonna show past jobs that we've done. We're gonna attach price tags to those. And there'll be certain features sometimes that we've done on past jobs that we don't really we don't want you to want that, if that makes sense. Sounds bad. There's just certain things that are a pain in the ass to do, and so it drives the cost up because they take forever to do it. So if we know it's gonna drive the cost up, and it doesn't really change the overall like value or the look of the job, we're not gonna really wanna push that at anybody and say, oh, because this guy decided to buy the farm, you should do the same thing. Like, nah, you know, if there's a way that we can deliver a package that has a really good look and most people would like it, that's what we're gonna put on the website. And for those people, we're gonna make it very simple, because we're gonna say, what you see is what you get. You like this package? Boom, there's your price. You don't gotta figure anything out. If you care to know the details of what all the different costs associated with that build are, we can break it down for you. But for the most part, the number that you care about is the one that you'll see on the site. If it's not on the site and there's something specific that, you know, it's a car we haven't done, or it's just something that you're interested in seeing, I have another request for you. I'm sorry, I'm asking things. We don't have that much time. So like, if I get 50 responses or 50 email inquiries and they're very vague, and maybe like 2 of them are specific, I'll try to even get to those 2 that have specific questions, because then we got to look up costs for different parts. We have to spend time, and if people are just kicking the tires and they want to see how much because they think, you know, hey, they probably don't have anything better to do than to spend the next 45 minutes running numbers and kicking a bunch of stuff around, only for the person to tell us like, okay, well, next November, when it's winter time, yeah, we're gonna send you out our lights, you know, so yeah, thanks for the information. That was like Wisconsin or something, I don't know. But for that guy, like, I appreciate you, but at the same token, like, our time is limited, so we wanna get to as many people as we can. So I know I'm taking a long time on this one because this is the quote section. This is only number 2 and I got a lot more to cover. But I'm saying this because we asked for you to just try to respect our time as much as possible. And if we do get on the phone with you, I'd love to. And I can't get to everybody a lot of times just because we're swamped. But just try to be like mindful of that, you know, that some of these things you can ask for us to quote it in 10 different ways, but like, please, if you do that, man, just please don't do that. I'm just trying to be real and just make this a video that I'm guessing a lot of other light builders that might be watching this, you can appreciate that somebody that asks for 10 different ways of doing something and they want 10 different prices and all that, like, it's math, dude, it just takes time. I like math and I still hate quoting out things because a lot of times it's just back and forth, running numbers, giving them to somebody, and they don't really intend to buy, and that kind of sucks because that takes away time that we could be giving to either our customers who've already purchased and we need to build their stuff, or the guy that's intending to buy. So I'm gonna end this section with one little thing. It's a new thing. It's gonna be, I'm gonna deploy this out over the next week or so, but we are going to make it easy for you to show us that you're serious. For people that know that they're gonna order cool custom lights and they don't have to spend a certain amount of money. We don't ask any of that stuff. We just want to start getting back to more of you guys. And so we're gonna do that by allowing there to be a deposit. And that deposit is gonna be a couple $100, and that will basically cover 99% of all jobs that we know for sure. It's at least gonna include a couple $100. I'll shoot ballpark prices at the end of this thing. Matter of fact, I think this is gonna go at the very end of this, so I don't lose too many of you guys. So if you're seeing this at the end of the video and you're like, why is he doing number 2 last? I'll just include the beginning of number 2 and then I'll get into all this nonsense. Because maybe rambling is terrible for the video, but the information for people that are serious, I hope you watch the whole video. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more of this stuff, you want to learn the custom lighting, you want to be able to order, you just want to support us, click the like button, click the subscribe button beneath, and we're going to keep trying to grow this channel. So thank you guys. I appreciate you watching.